Hey guys, welcome back to today's episode of Digital Pen Pals. My name is Zach Schertz, and I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Lincoln, or Tux Bodai. How is everybody doing today? This is episode 8. Wow.
Yeah,
Every time.
crazy. Yeah, I know. It's like not even that big a deal, but like I guess for us it means a lot more because it's like, wow, we've done 8 of these. Like just thinking of like the work we put into it and everything, just it's insane. But
Consistency is fun.
yeah, it's been fun. Um, but yeah, I've been doing pretty good. How about you, Lincoln?
Pretty good. Me and Zach did something really cool this weekend. And it's going to kind of be the subject of today's episode. And we're going to be kind of talking about related things. But me and Zach, would you like to tell everybody what we did this weekend?
Yeah. So this weekend we've been planning this for a while now. We've been plotting out ideas and going back and forth on like practical ways to do things to make sure that it all kind of works together. But for the podcast, we've been like really trying to figure out a way where we could extend not just from a podcast kind of medium, but also to video because me and Lincoln love making videos, and it's something that I know I've been really passionate about for a long time, trying to do YouTube content. And so we started filming the first official, I guess, on-camera video for the podcast channel.
Yes, the very first Digital Pen Pals video is coming, and we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There was a lot of mishaps that turned into fun little gags, and
Yeah.
lots of fun stuff.
It'll probably be like the cheesiest video ever, but I think we're both proud of it just because it's like it's the first one. You know, we're still like learning. You know, we've both individually made videos and stuff for YouTube before, but I don't know. It felt like a lot different because it's like I've made videos with friends and stuff that were kind of interested in it when I was like in high school, but they weren't to the extent of like where they
Where
could
we both are.
exactly like act on camera or like have the same vision. Like I was just like, hey, can you film this for me? Okay, cool. Hey, I'm gonna have you do this. Like I was kind of like the person telling what to do, kind of a thing. And this one felt a lot different because we're both kind of similar mindsets and like
Yeah, I felt like we kept
yeah.
going back and forth and coming up with new ideas and bouncing off each other and improving the script, and
Yeah.
it was scripted too, which was super fun. It was scripted. Well, it was like roughly scripted, and then we got on set, changed a lot of the lines, made it more natural.
Yeah.
Lots of planning. It was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. So the first video will be good. We're excited for it. It's more or less just a kind of a big introduction to everything. And we try to keep it simple, but it got complicated pretty quickly. At least I feel.
I feel it got fun really quickly.
Yeah. Complication means fun, right? But yeah, like it was really exciting just because, when this whole podcast thing started, it just, I don't know. I guess somehow I don't remember how it started. How did we even get to that point where we're like, hey, let's make videos for the channel?
I don't remember. I think you were the one that was like wanted to push it, and I was like kind of tentative, but I actually really liked that we went forward and did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So,
Yeah, because I don't know. It just felt like I was like, but like the podcast is cool, but it's just like, it didn't feel like enough for me for some reason. I wanted more, I guess. I don't know. But,
yeah.
maybe our listeners even want more because they're like, oh, the podcast is cool, but like, hey, more content. Okay.
Yeah, the video is a little more consumable, a little more fun. So if you like that kind of stuff, then you are in for a treat.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to talk about today the importance of collaboration, and this podcast has helped me and Zach stay on our goals, stay on our art, and improve and push each other because we're collaborating. And we're going to talk about why it's important to collaborate with other creators, with friends, and just like-minded people.
Yeah. So like collaboration, it just means working with somebody else. If, maybe someone doesn't know, but as artists, it's kind of hard because like we tend to feel like we're kind of loners because like especially growing up, I feel like I've mentioned this before, but like you're in high school or you're in elementary school growing up and you feel like you're the only artist in the class or something, and so among your peers you're like the art person, right? That's the girl that draws, or that's the guy that draws. and that's kind of what you become known for, as like stereotypes go in school. And so you kind of feel a little bit lonely. You might, depending on your circumstances, you do eventually meet a few other artists, that are like-minded, but they're kind of few and far between, right? And so you kind of feel like you're on your own, or if there are other artists, you feel like you have to compete against them, and it kind of feels a little bit more like a competition sometimes.
Yeah, and then
There's different situations, but I feel like most of the time we feel like, collaboration with other artists, it feels kind of weird, in that kind of environment. But I think kind of like a context of all of this is like maybe, you're outside of the school, or you're in college, let's say, where your gears shift and you're actually, for a fact, the art that you're doing and that the art that other artists are doing at college or wherever you may be or online, they're all trying to pursue something, like, right? And so that like-mindedness is like guiding you towards, the end goal of making art a career. And so like collaborating with other artists then becomes more of a feasible thing. And it's not like, oh, I'm trying to beat you or something, which, like, I feel like I kind of had that attitude when I went to college. I kind of had that mindset of like, oh, I need to compete, and like these people are so much better than me. I need to get better than that, which is healthy in certain amounts. But then, I really realized that I think that, collaborating with others was definitely more important.
yeah, and sometimes it can be hard, especially as like digital artists, like when you're drawing or you're working on like 3D stuff or whatever. It may be hard to collaborate because a lot of the times that's something that you just sit down and do by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be hard to do that, and then you always have a vision for your projects, and sometimes it's hard to take advice. And I know personally, I say that I like to be open to advice, but sometimes it's hard for me to take advice.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same. Is I mean, that's something that I learned when I was in college, was like the confronting of criticism, and feeling like I wasn't good enough, or that, I don't know, like it was weird because you'd have to put your piece of artwork up in front of the class. I'm sure you experienced this too, where people would have to critique your art and kind of like say, "Oh, this is good, but you could do this better." And I don't know,
Yeah,
like,
nobody's disliked anything I've ever made. I'm perfect.
oh, really?
Yeah, for reals.
No way.
Yeah, all the time. Never gotten any criticism on any comments or anything. I'm a perfect artist.
Oh, you got me. But yeah, like, I don't know, having other people there to help you improve is important. But yeah, it does require like a level of humility, even if it feels like you're forcing yourself to be humble, even despite hearing people's criticisms and being like, well, that's great, but I'm not going to listen to it. But yeah, I think it comes with, collaborating is it's not like, like maybe like you may have heard this similar to like YouTube collaborations, like that might be a very common phrase that you hear a lot of, but with artists it's a little bit different. It can be like me and Lincoln are pursuing this YouTube and streaming and everything, and so for us, like, this kind of is like a literal collaboration, to that definition. But with artists, and especially smaller artists that are probably not going to pursue the similar things, like we are, but just as an artist, collaborating with somebody else may mean, hey, you're a fellow artist, let's be friends. Or here's some artwork, do you think you could have some tips for me? Or reaching out to people that you love. I mean, even if they have a huge following, you could send them some artwork in your DM, be like, hey, I appreciate everything you've done, and I really know your time is very valuable. And I was wondering if you could take a second to look at this and give me some feedback on my work. Something like that could be like a collaborative effort.
Yeah, and I know personally, any time that I've like it's weird. I view my progression and learning art and getting better at art almost like bursts. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's like me in high school or like middle school and stuff, and then I joined an online community where it was Invader Zim fandom basically on a Nintendo DS app called Flipnote Hatena.
Nice.
But I joined this community and I made all these friends and I learned so much about, well, not so much. I learned a little bit about art. I was kind of stubborn then and didn't want to practice and get better. And that was kind of like my base. And then I didn't really improve and I didn't really improve. And then I met a friend and they helped me out a bunch. And then I had like another burst of improvement, and then cut to my first year of college that I dropped out of. I took some art classes, and that was a burst. And then I met another friend, and she helped me and directed me to a lot of awesome resources. And then ever since I've met you, Zach, it's motivated me to keep going and improve. So if you're like me, meeting other people and asking them, hey, I really like your stuff. How do you get it like that? Or like having them critique your stuff like Zach was saying is an awesome thing to do to help you grow. Maybe not in bursts, maybe it'll be gradual, but collaboration is I've found one of the best ways for me to grow as an artist. And that's why I think collaboration is so important, because there's so much in our brains, and when we have a second one, there's so much in their brains, and then they crash and mash together, and they multiply and divide and add and subtract from each other, and create all these crazy wacky things and ideas and new stuff that either of you couldn't come up with on your own.
Right. And I think that's like the stress part about being an artist, is you feel like all these things have to come from you. And I feel like that's why a lot of other teams of like animation studios and things like that and are very successful, is that they have a huge team that collaborate with one another, and they have art directors, they have like animation directors, all sorts of different different facets of animation in this example that collaborate with one another to make sure that they're all to the kind of quality of art that they need for whatever they're making. And so I feel like, you know, as artists, it's kind of almost naive for us to think we can do this on our own. We can to the extent of like, oh yeah, of course you're making your own art, like, only you can do that. But I feel like sometimes we can get a lot of inspiration from other artists and from other communities or things like that can help us pursue that. And I think for a while there, I was thinking, especially when I graduated last year in July, I mean, it was only really recently, I was like thinking, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be making art, posting it. And this was even before I really thought about pursuing TikTok. And I was like, I'm going to pursue YouTube, because that was like the only one thing, all my eggs were in that basket. I was like, I'm going to keep doing YouTube. The videos are hard to make, but I can get quicker, I guess, and all of this. But yeah, it kind of wasn't until that I like met Lincoln that things started like making more sense, and it eventually started going towards the route of like, oh, like this collaborative work can help, like, it's like, it's not like we're mooching off of each other in any way, but like it's like an equal trade-off of like, hey, like, I know some things about some things in art, and some things about some things in art, right? And so the meshing of those two ideas like brings forth a lot more information and a lot more clarity on a subject, rather than just, maybe if it was just the me podcast and I was talking, like I could only say so much. And so for, a conversation, it needs to have at least two people, right? And so I feel like, at least in this example of like a podcast and doing art and stuff like this stuff has really helped me a lot, because you've shown me like the business end and entrepreneurship of becoming an artist online. And I was so focused on just kind of like making things, but I wasn't so much focused on really kind of thinking things through, I guess, entirely.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. It collaboration's important though. And like I think what I found though is it was kind of like, it goes back to a trip that I had during college. We had a thing for travel study, and I had to do it as a requirement to get my degree. And we could choose a number of different things, but one of them that I really wanted to attend, because I was more interested in the entertainment sort of industry of like art. I really wanted to go to this thing called CTN, which stands for Creative Talent Network, and it's an event that is held in Burbank, California. So while there, you're able to take all of these different classes and demos, and it was just really helpful to be able to experience all of those things, and to hear a lot of these already successful artists speak about the things that they've done in order to be successful and to boost their artwork. And so for me, that was like a big takeaway when I left there. When I arrived there, I should say, I felt kind of unsure. I felt that I was like, I feel like in my head this is what I should do, but in my heart I wasn't. Or I don't know. It was more like in my heart I felt like this is what I should do, but I wasn't so sure in my head. And when I left that, both my heart and my head were saying, yes, this is what I'm supposed to do. I didn't know how, but I just felt like this was the niche that I was supposed to be pursuing with my career. And so, yeah, definitely finding any sort of way to find community in art is so important. You don't have to go to an expo. I do recommend it after experiencing it, but that's definitely kind of an extreme depending where you live and
Yeah,
depending
you're
where they
making
might.
me want to go to an expo now. I used to go to a bunch of conventions for like game stores and like nerdy stuff
Uh
because I
huh.
worked at a game store and I learned a lot about like how stores run and like board game development and that all fun stuff. Um, but yes, conventions are great. Learning from other people is fantastic. Collaboration is absolutely insane. Make a Discord community or join a Discord community.
Yeah.
Discord is like overpowered and it's insane, and there's so many things that can be done with it, and there's so many fantastic communities. I know of two specifically that are really awesome communities.
Wait, what? Which ones are those?
So one is called Tux Bodai's Wild Wild
Oh,
West,
self plug. You got me.
and then the other one is called the Doodle Buddies by
Oh,
Zach Schertz.
oh. If you guys can tell, we just self plugged. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, it's great. Because growing up is I felt like I never really had a positive art group, and I felt scared to create and to put my stuff out there because I was going to be judged or criticized in a negative way because I was just a kid. So one thing I've specifically focused on in my community is no matter what level of art you're at, we're not gonna like be negative. And I mean, of course, every website tries to do that, but because we're a smaller community and we're more tight knit, we can we can monitor that more easily. Um, but we're focused towards growth, no matter what speed, no matter what level you're at, no matter what. We also have a good time playing like Among Us and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Discord communities are great, and I'm sure there's others out there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's whatever suits your fancy. If it fits what you want to do, then that's awesome. Um, yeah. It depends. Like I know your Discord's a little bit like the community is a little bit more built out than mine. And it's
It's chaotic. I love it.
yeah, it's chaotic good. Um, But yeah, I love the Discord community. It's been awesome. I'm still learning how to like just make it, because as you taught me, it's just like, hey, like make a community and like make it into a community, like, because like so much of the stuff was like centered around me, but then I started to try to figure out how to pull it back to make it more of like a safe place for people to be able to share their artwork and like potentially meet with other artists and become friends with them. And I think that's been an awesome takeaway. And I know a bunch of the people who came over and found me through you, through like your raid one time on Twitch. A lot of them have stuck around and have really helped to motivate other people on the Discord community to keep making art and to just being friendly and being awesome. And I think that's exactly what the art community needs. It's definitely not like, oh, your art's good enough. Like, just like let it stay there. But like, the sense of an art community should be like, hey, this is awesome. Like, congratulations on this. But yeah, definitely like the sense of like, oh, we can always do better kind of a thing. Cause like as an artist, you never stop learning. You never stop growing.
Agreed. And it's through other people that'll help push you um, to become better. Zach, have you ever done any big art collaborations?
Um, let's see. I not that I can think of at this moment. Um, yeah, it's tough to say. Besides the things that we've done together, I think that's been like the more official collaborative stuff that I've done. Um, but I think what was really fun actually is even before I started streaming on Twitch, um, I started experimenting I guess it was foreshadowing. I didn't know it, but I was experimenting with live streaming on Instagram, and I was fascinated by live streams, but I'm like, I want to promote myself or show that I'm doing art, but I didn't quite know how to do that in a live. I was like, I could record myself, I could like film myself drawing on live, but I wasn't really sure how to set it up. So I was devising different ways to do that. And it was during when the pandemic started in 2020 in like March. Classes got canceled when I was at college, and a lot of us were kind of like stressed out, obviously, and we were kind of struggling to feel like we were having social interactions. Um, and when I started doing Instagram lives, it was kind of weird. I think either I started it or my other friend did that was in one of my classes. But we started doing live streams on Instagram, and you can invite someone else to join your live stream, right? I mean, this is open for anybody. It doesn't matter how many followers you have or whatever. It's open to anybody. And so, um, I would watch some of my friends draw, and then we would either invite a friend that's watching, or we would ask if we can join, and then we just sit there and talk and draw together, and that was like really cool. And then you'd have some other people too that were in the chat, just like Twitch, right? And you would have like this collaborative like conversation where you're just talking about stuff, and maybe doing art challenges or something. But the downside with Instagram is like there's a limit on like an hour, just like as a specific thing that happens on Instagram. And after an hour, the live stream will end. I don't know why there's that cutoff, but there is. And then you have to just like restart the live stream. But despite that, we would still do live streams. And then after an hour, we would restart. Someone would restart it, and then we jump back in and just keep talking. And it was awesome. It was fun. And that was like kind of like the first, I guess, collaborative stuff that I did, and felt collaborative because I was, I would leave the live stream on with my friends talking, and I would chat every once in a while, and I think that was probably like one of the first ones that I did.
That's super sweet, actually.
Yeah,
That would be a fun thing to do, like down the line.
yeah, and I
Just
mean
like
that just goes
hop
for
on
anybody.
Instagram Live and
If
just
you're
invite
interested in
people.
trying it out, you can totally do it if you have an Instagram. So Lincoln, what does art mean to you? Like what does it make you feel like? We keep talking about this community aspect, right? But what is this like ideal, like this mindset that other artists have in these communities, or other artists that you collaborate with? What's this sense of like similarity? What's similar about like other artists?
So the first question, like, what does art mean to me?
Yeah. Sorry, that was a lot of questions.
Um, yeah, I'm trying to like break it down. So to me, like, I'm not a biologist, so I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong, but from my observation, humans are like one of our special abilities or capabilities is the ability of creation. We can we can think outside of ourselves and come up with something abstract and use it to connect with other people, and we can take abstract thoughts and turn them into emotion or feeling, or we can take sound and organize it in a way that is interesting or that invokes emotion. So to me, art is so important because it's us exercising that thing that we have that other organisms don't necessarily have. Um, it's something that I think is super unique about humanity, and I think art is something that is very human. And I love making art because it just creating anything, whether it's a drawing, whether it's 3D printing and then turning it into a prop, or whether it's writing. It's something that didn't exist before, or it's something that did exist and is now remixed or improved or changed or duplicated or something by me. And that feeling of just creation is like a high to me. It's a really good feeling to just create art, and I think art's important, and that all humans should be making art, no matter how bad or good they think their ideas are. I think that everybody has the capacity to create art. We just have to exercise it and keep going. I tell this to a lot of people all the time. Like the other day, my buddy was saying like, oh, I want to make a bunch of TikToks, or like I want to make a bunch of YouTube videos. I just don't have any good ideas, so I'm just gonna keep thinking of ideas. And I'm like, no, just start making ideas. Just start making stuff, and you'll have the good ideas while you're making stuff. Because I've found that a lot of my best ideas for art and my best ideas for like anything happened not when I wasn't being crafty, but when I was working on something. So like I was drawing a character the other day. I was trying to just draw like an angry character on stream, on Twitch the other day, and I just kind of drew like his face, and then I'm like, oh, I kind of really like this. I'm gonna turn it into like a skeleton character, and then I like kind of drew like a pose, and I was just like, oh, we'll just keep it at that, and I'm like, oh, I'll just add some more detail, and then it ended up turning into like an entire character that I like fleshed out and created that I had no plan of making before, and it actually turned into something that I was like super proud of that I hadn't done before. So that's why I think art's important and that all people should be exercising art. I hope that answered your question sufficiently.
Yeah, that did. Yeah. I would totally agree with that. Like, it's kind of like you have to get the ball rolling or start the ball rolling to get traction, you know? It's like you can sit down and think for weeks and months on ideas. And that's kind of what I did for like the longest time when it came to just creative ideas in general for like, you know, whether that was YouTube or whatever. I was only posting every so often, and it just felt like I couldn't really come up with ideas, or I had some, but they were just like general ideas that I had in a notebook somewhere, and I never ended up like making them. And so I think for me, and something that I kind of do with TikTok as well, you know, if you're familiar, if you start filming a TikTok, you can either post it or you can save it as a draft and complete it or edit it later. And so for me, one of my things is like I just don't like having drafts in my TikTok profile. So even though I'm the only one that can see it, I don't like having drafts. I like to feel like every idea up until now has been made. And each idea, it basically kind of puts a little bit of a creative pressure in a good way on me, where I'm forced to film it and get it done like as soon as I go through the editing process, right? Like it needs to be done. The only time that I do have a draft though is like, you know, there are a little bit of a, you know, different variants of this rule, because like I'm like, if I'm doing something that's going to take a long time or whatever, either I'll film it separately on my camera roll, or I will start filming the TikTok and then keep reopening it to film different parts of, you know, maybe there's a painting or something I'm doing, you know, for example. But yeah, I think just going and just you know, it's like sketching. You know, you're making TikToks, you're making art. You are literally just trying something that's imperfect, because we're humans, we're not perfect, and that's what makes art is that it's not completely perfect. And
Whoa. I'm perfect, okay?
well, for the rest of us though, Lincoln.
Thank you.
But yeah, like you just kind of have to throw your stuff out, and I think the better that you can just let go of the things that you're making and let yourself be exposed when it comes to social media, and pretty much what we're talking about is, you know, posting and doing things like that with your artwork. It's just like letting them go. That's why you have a sketchbook. You just will draw stuff. Sometimes it'll never see the light of day, and you just keep moving on. You flip the page, or maybe there's a sketch you made that you found interesting that you didn't start drawing something that you intended to be a good drawing, but it ended up being a good drawing, and that way later you can flesh it out and make it into like an actual thing. And you know, I've had many moments like that as well, and you know, I've said this again before, but you know, when I was working on my art sticker projects on stream, every single day for forever I was doing it, and I felt myself so much capable, so much closer to like this creative core, that I was like able to tap into it. You know, it wasn't some sort of mythical thing, but it was like my brain was like, oh, you want to be creative? Oh, we've done that for many days in a row now. Like, cool, let me just help you out. And I felt like I could draw stuff better, like my muscle memory was better. You know, and I really do feel that when I'm not drawing as often as I should, which is currently I'm not drawing as often as I should.
For shame.
Yeah, it's shameful. But I mean, I have been pursuing other things, so I don't feel as bad about it as I would. But it's definitely like a process. You have to start it. You have to initiate it. and it's scary because it's like jumping out of a plane without a parachute. Don't do that, by the way. But you feel like, oh no, I have no security. Like, what if I start and I never able to figure it out along the way? But that's kind of the funny part is as soon as you make that leap of faith, you'd be surprised at what your brain can do. The human body is amazing. The mind is amazing. You kind of don't know what you're made of until you just like, okay, I'm just going to start drawing. Even if you don't have a game plan, even if you feel like you don't know how to draw or what to draw, you just start doing something and something's bound to come out of it. And if you do that enough, you're going to eventually start to become creative. And that's why people that are drawing every day, or they do so because they have homework assignments at school, that's why they get good really fast. And that's why they seem like they can draw anything really fast, is because they started off really slow. And eventually now they're at the point where that creative muscle is so much flexed that it can easily lift I guess the pencil and draw.
Yeah, and I feel like a prime example of that was when we were on Saturday when we were filming the video. I was having so much ideas and so many new things for different videos, and we had so many cool ideas for the video itself. And I feel like the best ideas are always in the moment of creativity, not out of the moment. And so that's my advice to everybody today, and my challenge is just start creating stuff, because once you start creating stuff, it'll get easier.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I definitely have learned like a lot doing like collaborative stuff, and the sense of excitement when someone's supportive of the things you want to do, and they're helping you out. It feels like, oh wow, like it almost becomes more important to you, because I was excited to do some of the stuff, for example, that we've used as examples from this podcast channel. I was excited to make YouTube content, but then as soon as we started opening up like a Google Doc and started writing down like random video ideas and we started to collaborate, I realized I was like, hey, I'm not the only one excited about this. Lincoln is too. And it started to become really fun to see like, oh, what ideas is he going to come up with and put in the Google Doc that I'm not seeing coming, kind of a thing. And so it's been really fun, and I think collaborating with other artists that can help. Hey, this is a cool idea. What if you did this? You got to find those people that are just excited about the things that you're making as you are, and that can be hard, but definitely our recommendation is like search out Discord communities. I mean, we got two right here, Lincoln's Discord and my Discord. They're both places where you can do that kind of thing. There's art streamers, me and Tux. Anyway, I don't know. There's plenty of places where people are just as excited about things as you are, and it just becomes the first initial part of finding it. And if you're already listening to this podcast, then you've already found a bunch. So you could say you're doing pretty good.
And finding even just one person who believes in your dream, or who believes in your same mindset is monumentally impactful for your growth as an artist. Because back to my comparison of every time I've had someone like believe in me is when I've improved in art, and that rings true today, especially with Zach. Is it keeps me motivated, and it keeps me in check, because I sometimes will get lazy and be like, whatever, I'll do a video eventually. But with Zach, it's like, shoot, we're both making content, we gotta make sure we're both on top of things, because we want to make Digital Pen Pals successful, and we want to make awesome content and everything for you guys. And so that's where collaboration has led us.
Yeah. And that's definitely a thing, is like, I mean, I don't know about you, but like I said it before, like I felt like I was almost sort of selfish and like thinking like, oh, I'm gonna share my art, I'm gonna do this, but then I just kind of realized that maybe there was a part of the puzzle that was missing, like the community aspect. And what we've talked about today with the community is like, if there's not a community of artists helping each other out, if there's not something that we're helping to push forward that's positive like this, then like it's almost seems kind of crazy to think that we're gonna make it or do something significant in our lives. And so I think like this channel's been pretty inspired, and we kind of hope that people feel that they have a place to come to, that they can just talk with other artists and make friends and feel like they're part of something. Because, a lot of us probably didn't really have that growing up, or maybe even now we felt like we haven't had that. But I think more than ever is, especially with the way things have been in the world, we definitely need that place to go to. We need some sort of community. If we can't, meet with each other in person all the time, then, definitely online, there's so many different facets that we can make stuff like that happen.
Mm-hmm. So what's our challenge to everyone today, Zach?
Buddy check. Who's your buddy?
Check. Do a buddy check. If you when you made it this far, do a buddy check. Figure out who is your art buddy, who's your creative buddy, the person that is going to push you forward and improve in art.
And if you don't have that, be that buddy for somebody. I mean, you don't have to directly say, "Hey, I'm going to be your art buddy," but you could be like, "I like this person's artwork. I want to help them." And so whenever they post their art, give them ideas, give them compliments. I don't know. I mean, many people are already doing that, but just I guess kind of consider it as being a little bit more collaborative, a little bit more involved in other people's work.
I've found as a creative and as a creator, somebody believing in you is one of the biggest motivators ever. Even if it's some random person in the comments that's constantly saying, "Oh, I love your stuff. I can't wait for this, that." That's like the most motivating thing in the galaxy. And one of those will completely shatter 100 hate comments.
Oh yeah.
So even if you're not quite necessarily seeing the impact that your positivity has on people, I know that it will have that impact, and it's had the impact on me from others.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that happened while I was streaming and stuff that I didn't know about. I didn't think I was really affecting anybody until, someone reached out and was like, "Hey, like, you really inspired me by when you talked about this during your stream, and it's changed the way I do my art." And like that to me was like really crazy, because I was like, I don't know, it just, you don't realize the effect that you have on people until it's already said and done. And sometimes you may never know if you've had an effect on people, especially online, because you may never meet them in person. But just know that if you spread good kindness, that it is going to reciprocate in some form or another, even if you never see the end result of that. And I think our biggest message is to you guys that we believe in you, and that you guys can do what you want, no matter what skill level you are. Even if you feel like you're the worst digital artist that maybe you feel like your art doesn't stand out and it feels like the old school deviant art that just looks horrible or something, just know that it takes time, and you're going to eventually get to that point. You just have to keep going, because if you quit now, it's forever going to look the way you don't like it. And be happy with the things you make, but know that you can keep progressing, and just seek out community, and just know that you guys have found it here on Digital Pen Pals, because that's what we're all about, is community and pursuing art.
So you little rascals, go out there and create, make stuff, and have an awesome week. So thank you so much for listening. You can find all of our socials, our Twitch link, our Discord link, everything in our bio. And if it's not, comment, we'll put that in there. So you guys have a great one. This has been Digital Pen Pals Podcast, Episode 8. I have been Lincoln, or Tux, and I'm here with Mr. Zach.
Yes, I have been Zach. And this has been Digital Pen Pals. And we'll catch you guys next week.
See ya!
Bye!